The curtain is finally closing on one of the most shocking legal sagas in the history of hip-hop. Sean "Diddy" Combs, once one of the most powerful and untouchable names in the music industry, is now just days away from learning his fate. On Friday, October 3rd, the disgraced rap mogul will stand before a federal judge to be sentenced, following his conviction on 2 felony counts of transportation to engage in prostitution under the Mann Act. This case has sent shockwaves far beyond the music world. For years, Combs embodied the image of a self-made billionaire, an influential producer, and a cultural icon. But prosecutors say behind the glitz and glamour of his empire was a dark underbelly of exploitation and abuse. Late Tuesday night, Judge Arun Subramanian issued a 16-page ruling that effectively sealed Combs' fate. In that ruling, the judge flatly rejected the 55-year-old's final attempt to secure a new trial. Subramanian wrote that the charges against Combs fall squarely within the statutory definition of transportation for the purpose of prostitution. Combs had argued that his activities were protected under the First Amendment because he filmed the sex acts in question, claiming they were amateur pornography rather than commercial sex work. But Subramanian dismissed that claim as meritless, stating, "The correct definition of prostitution in the Mann Act is sex in exchange for money or its equivalent. This definition poses no constitutional problem." The court's rejection is a devastating blow to Combs, who has fought for months to overturn his conviction. But prosecutors aren't done yet. On Monday, they submitted a staggering 164-page sentencing memorandum recommending at least 11 years behind bars, far harsher than their original request of just 4 to 5 years. They argue that Combs is unrepentant and that his crimes were not only deliberate but also aggravated by the manner in which he committed them. The memorandum calls for a punishment that reflects the magnitude of harm done to his victims and the brazen nature of his conduct. Combs and his defense team, meanwhile, have been scrambling to present a very different picture. The rap mogul, who has already served 14 months at the notorious Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, has submitted a 182-page personal plea for leniency. In it, he asks the court to consider time served, requesting a sentence no longer than 14 months, the time he's already spent behind bars. His lawyers paint a grim portrait of life inside MDC, one of the most infamous detention centers in the country. They describe maggots in food, daily violence, and squalid conditions. He has not breathed fresh air in nearly 13 months, the defense states. They add that Combs has been sober for the first time in 25 years, has maintained an incident-free record, and has even launched a business education program for fellow inmates, teaching entrepreneurship and financial literacy behind bars. Mr. Combs has been adequately punished, his defense argues. His career and reputation have been destroyed. He has lost everything. The court has also been flooded with heartfelt letters from Combs' family, including a particularly moving plea from his 85-year-old mother, Janice Combs. In her handwritten appeal to the judge, she expressed both disappointment and hope. "Unfortunately, my son has made some terrible mistakes in his life, which I know he recognizes," she wrote. "I will never excuse any wrongdoing committed by Sean. I have always been very strict with him growing up. But I appeal to the kindness of your heart to allow my son to be able to sit at a dinner table with his family again. To allow him to raise his children and to instill in them the need to be respectful, get an education, and live with love in their hearts." Janice also reminded the court of the void left by the death of Kim Porter, the mother of 3 of Combs' children, who died unexpectedly in 2018. She stressed that her grandchildren, Quincy, King, and twins Jesse and Delilah, desperately need their father. "I don't know how much longer I will be around," she concluded. "But I would love to be able to see him and his children together again." The plea from Combs' mother underscores the deeply personal nature of this case. Once a titan of business, music, and fashion, Sean "Diddy" Combs now stands as a cautionary tale, a man whose empire collapsed under the weight of his own choices. On October 3rd, the world will finally learn whether the judge believes Combs has paid enough for his crimes, or whether the former hip-hop king will spend the next decade behind bars.